Hello, this is Will Schlecht from Iron Crow AI, and today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to use N-Spec. So to start with, we're on the landing page of the Iron Crow AI website, and we have already logged in, which you can tell because under account, we've got our username here. Um, so if you've logged in and you have access to N-Spec, it will appear in the middle of the navigation bar at the top of the website, and you can go to N-Spec by clicking the associated button here. On the N-Spec page, we have some basic instructions for the process of how to use this tool, including which files it can upload. So you need to upload a claims file, which is either going to be a docx or PDF. You can optionally upload a figure file. Figure files aren't necessary. There's some instances where you may have a figure file or you might not. But in general, if you're preparing a patent application, it's always better to include the figures that you've drafted. You can also optionally select a profanity list. If you don't select one, a default profanity list will be used. Once you've selected your files, you can click Run, and then select which specific proofreading features you actually want to be computed on the files that you uploaded. And just to clarify, because this is sometimes confusing, what we mean by a claims file is either an office action response or a specification, since those are the two types of documents which you're generally going to prepare that have claims within them and which you're going to want to analyze the claims to make sure that they conform to proper, USPTO formal requirements like following the correct antecedent basis and literal support in the case of patent applications. So those are the two types of files, or the two, I guess, types of documents that N-Spec is really built to process. And then either of those, so the specifications or the office action responses can be either docx or PDF, but nothing else, just those two files. And in general, docx is going to work better. So in this demo, we're just going to go over kind of file uploading and profanity list management. In another video, we'll go over the actual features that are computed by N-Spec and kind of how to interpret those. So to start with, let's upload a claims file. We'll do what's probably going to be the main use case for most people, which is a specification, which we've drafted for a patent application. That is a docx. There are still doc files floating around out there. So if you have a doc file, you can convert it within Microsoft Word, convert it to the open XML version, the docx file. Now we want to upload our figures. Figures can also be Visio files, but the modern version of a Visio file, the VSDX file, a PowerPoint, also the modern version of PowerPoint, PPTX, or a PDF file. In this case, we've got a VSDX file, so we'll upload that here. Optionally, you can select a profanity list. And what we do is we actually allow you to create your own profanity lists on the Iron Crow AI website. So I've got a general profanity list here, and we'll select that for now. So we've got all of the files uploaded that we need. And actually, we really didn't have to upload the figures or the profanity list, but it's always better if you do that. So now let's click Run N-Spec. This opens up a kind of feature selection dialog where we can select the document type that we're processing. So we are processing a specification. So if you're processing an office action, you would want to click that. And we can select each of the proofreading features that we want computed. And in this case, we will run with all of them. The reason that we allow you to select which proofreading features to run is the process of preparing a document is somewhat iterative, and you may want to just check the antecedent basis maybe while you're preparing the claims. And to do that more efficiently, to be able to iterate quickly, it's better to not have to compute all proofreading results if it's not necessary for you. You can, of course, compute all of them every time, but I think that just makes the process a little bit slower. So once you've computed the results, the dashboard will show up, and I'll go, in another video, we'll go over what the dashboard means and the details of all the results that are computed. But that's sort of the process of what it would look like to analyze a specification. And really quickly, I want to show you what the specification file actually looks like, because one point which is a bit important is that you have headers for different sections. And these can be in various formats and use various terminology, but essentially you should have headers for each section. And most important of all is the header that you use for your claims. The most basic and canonical and certain to work header is if you just have claims with a colon on its own line as the way that you introduce your claims. And this is also important if you're uploading just claims by themselves. So just a document that consists of maybe one page with a couple of claims on it, and you just want to analyze those claims, nothing else. You should still include a header like this. We can customize how N-Spec looks for these headers. So if you use very different headers than normal, we can customize for that. But in most cases, this is the type of claim header that people are going to use. All right. So let's do another example. In this case, we're going to upload an office action response and analyze the claims. So let's click a claims file. In this case, we're going to upload this office action response document. It's a docx file. It can also be a PDF, but in most cases, if you're preparing a response, people don't usually prepare responses in PDF format. They're going to have it, as an editable text document. So it's going to be docx. There's not going to be, in this case, an associated figure file, since this is not a specification. And in this case, let's create our own profanity list. So at the bottom of the profanity list selection modal, there's this button that says Manage Profanity List. So you can click on that, and you can see we've got our existing list here, but we can also create a new list. Let's just give this a name, custom list. We can kind of get a head start by auto-populating with kind of standard patent profanities, but then we can also add our own additional terms, dangerous or better, best, invention. These actually might have already been added, but I think you get the idea. Just make sure each of these terms is separated, from the other terms by a comma. You can also add kind of variable suffix notation. So, for example, consist might be consisting, consisted, consists. You can just add a wildcard indicator here, and that will capture all different kind of suffix versions of this root word, stem word, consist. We can save that. Great. So now that's in our list, close. And actually, in order for that list to be visible, we're going to need to navigate back here. So let's upload our files again, our office action response document, and then we can select our custom list. And now we should be able to run. The big difference here is you're going to want to select office action response, since that's the type of claims document we have uploaded. You'll notice that there are less proofreading features with office action response documents. And that's because compared to an application which has detailed description, abstract, title, all of these additional fields, areas that you've drafted, which could have issues with them, the office action response is a little bit more narrow. It's going to basically focus on the claims, and you can also look for certain profanities. There might be certain, limiting terms you don't want to use in your remarks, for example, or in your arguments in the office action response. But basically, the proofreading features are those which are kind of focusing on the claims specifically, because the claims are going to be, present in your office action response, and you may have made amendments to them. And so those amendments could introduce additional errors, which you would want to check for. So we'll run that, get our results, and then we'll do one more kind of example of a different type of document that you could upload. We'll look at a PDF. So in this case, because it's an office action response, the dashboard is a lot more sparse because, as I said, there's not as many results that we're actually computing. So the final example is you can also have specifications that are PDF format. So we'll select this PDF format specification. In this case, I don't have a figure file associated with it. We'll just upload only the specification. And we can select our general list this time and run this with, let's remove these two since these are the prosecution analytics features and they can take a little bit longer to run than the other features. And so if you don't need them, maybe you've already run them and you're not interested in seeing those results again, you can unselect them and it'll be a lot faster. And actually, I want to show. So this is the PDF that we've uploaded. So notice that this is not like a published patent document. This is a PDF version of essentially the Word document that you would have been preparing. Or, for example, the specification document that you could pull from the image file wrapper on the USPTO system. But this is not a, two-column kind of standard USPTO published patent application. And that's important. Currently, N-Spec is not able to process those types of documents well. So even though it can process PDF documents, the format of that PDF document needs to be essentially the specification as you would have prepared it in Word or another Word editor. So just an important detail. So the results have been computed here. That all looks good. And I think that's everything I wanted to cover. So this is just a tutorial on which files are supported, kind of different use cases. So when you're preparing a specification for a patent application and when you're preparing or amending claims to respond to an office action, N-Spec, you can use the browser to analyze your claims, make sure there's no formal errors. So in another video, we're going to go over the details of these features, but that's it for now. Thank you.